Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blockchain Braun here, coming at you with another video. I thought it would be a good time to talk about some things, have a little discussion. Uh, in light of everything that's happened here in the past couple of weeks, I would say that a discussion is necessary. Hope you would agree. But I'll just take a brief moment of your time just to discuss a couple of things, and hopefully it'll help you if you come across my video. I don't have a lot of bright lights. Don't have a great camera right now. Probably from a production standpoint, things could be better. A lot left to be desired there as far as editing and things of that nature. But I think the information is the most important. And that's what I would like to get out to you tonight, if at all possible. I've been in the space now for 5 years, started in 2017, October of 2017. I've seen a lot of things happen, seen a lot of ups and downs. You know, anytime you get into something at the beginning of NFTs, I was there when CryptoKitties first came on the scene. And so if you don't know anything about that, I would say do some research on CryptoKitties, but that's kind of like the first resurgence or the first surgence. I don't even know if you would call it a re, but it was kind of the first coming of NFTs, so to speak. So that's how far I go back. And there are some, of course, that go back further than I do. But I've been in the space now for 5 years, seen a lot of different things happen. This is very unique in nature as far as what's happened here in the past couple of weeks. I've heard a lot of people call it the Lehman Brothers of cryptocurrency. That is very heavy company. I did a lot of research and have a lot of knowledge on what happened during the Great Recession in 2008 and what came about starting that kind of kicked off the Great Recession in 2008 and the fallout with the banks and, the whole mortgage failures and things that happen of that nature, which all started by way, I would say, in big order by credit default swaps. I'm not going to get into that right now. That would take a whole separate video, but credit default swaps and kind of what was done in the mortgage industry caused a lot of things to fail then. This is different in nature where it's, I wouldn't say have really a lot to do with mortgage, but I think what they were talking about when they said a Lehman Brothers type fall is the impact of this and the importance of it. And I can agree with that. So let me say this. Let me start out by saying this. If you have money on the exchanges, if you have coins on the exchanges, if you have options on the exchanges, I would suggest maybe that you look at getting your funds off the exchanges for the time being. Now, I think there are some safe options out there, like if you look at Coinbase and perhaps Binance US. For those that are in the US, for those outside of it, you should still be able to use Binance as usual. But for those that are inside the United States, such as myself, I think Binance US could probably be a safe option, and Coinbase too as well. But the reason I would say get your money off the exchanges right now is because we do not know how deep the FTX roots go. We don't know who's all attached as of yet. I think we're still figuring that out, and we have just broached the tip of this thing. And I don't think we've fully understood or grasped how deep this goes. And so I think right now you would do yourself a service to be careful. I have a banking background. I went to school for trust. And so I'm very adept to banking. Some a little bit more than me. But banking is all about trust and risk management, in my opinion. Yeah, of course you have the profit aspect of it and investment growth and things of that nature, but really from the central standpoint of banking, it's minimizing risk and building trust. Without the minimization of risk and building trust, then you're not going to make it as a bank, or you're going to fail in that realm. With cryptocurrency, I would say one of the main things you want to do is you want to achieve decentralization. I think what gives blockchain its power and gives crypto its power at the core is being able to custody your own assets. As a great man once said, Richard Hart, he said, if you don't like him or whatever, that's fine. But you need to remember one thing he has said. If you don't remember anything else, not your keys, not your crypto. Okay, let me repeat that. Not your keys, not your crypto. So that means that you're under subjection. You're at the behest of what happens wherever your coins are, whatever exchange it's on. You're kind of at their mercy of what happens. And I think we've seen the result of what can happen when you're at the mercy of someone else. Okay. So I would say get your money off the exchanges if you can. If you don't have a Ledger Nano S, a Ledger Nano X, a Trezor, there's one that's called an Elipal or Elipal, something of that nature. It looks very efficient. I would suggest that you get one of those as quickly as possible. And for the time being, I would move my money into cold storage or move my coins into cold storage until we see some end to this, which I don't know how long this is going to go. But I will say this: I don't think we've seen all of the capitulation yet. I think there's more sell-off to come, and I don't think Bitcoin has reached its bottom yet. I've heard some numbers: 14,000. Richard Hart said 11,000. I think BitBoy said, I think kind of within that 12, maybe 14 with him. I can't remember, but I've heard those type of numbers, and as you see, it doesn't look like that's too far-fetched right now. And so I think investing right now or being too reckless right now I think that's not going to suit you well. I think you want to be careful right now. I say wait till we get a bottom, or wait till we see some semblance of a bottom, and then I would say go in. But I would say this: keep some dry powder on the side so you'll have it to invest when you feel that we've reached the bottom. There'll be some prophets out there, so to speak. They'll be telling you that, hey, I think the bottom's in. You might want to look at investing or buying some options that you wanted to invest in, but you have not done so yet. So I think I think you'll get those type of warnings, so to speak, or those type of alerts when the time comes. But I would say for now, get your money off the exchange. So that's it for that. So with the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing, now I will say this: BitBoy was out there pushing a long time ago that he had some issues with FTX, and he had some issues with Sam Bankman-Fried, and a lot of people wasn't backing BitBoy on this, and they didn't agree with him. But as we see that he was very correct in his assessment of FTX and his assessment of Sam Bankman-Fried. And so you have to give BitBoy his props for that. So BitBoy, we appreciate you for that. Keep doing what you're doing. And for those of us that didn't listen, we apologize. Also, Richard Hart was another that was out there. Whether you like him or not, I'm not here to discuss that. But he was one that had his issues with FTX and with Sam Bankman-Fried. And he warned not just about FTX's exchange. Richard Hart has always warned about keeping your funds on the exchanges, that you should get them off of the exchange. It is not a safe place to keep your coins. Now, as I said before, you have places like Coinbase, you have Binance US, maybe more that I'm not thinking about right now. I used to use Bittrex, Qcoin, man, you name it. I've just been about on every exchange, even the ones that failed. Oh man, I did my first, I think, transaction. This is a long time ago. So I told you I've been in the space for 5 years. But before that, I was playing poker online with Bitcoin back in 2009, 2010. And I was using Bitcoin America to make Bitcoin purchases. Now, me and one of my best friends talks about this all the time, because when you think about how far back that is and where I should be right now money-wise with my ignorant self, that's a whole nother issue. But I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe I could tell the full story on that in the future. But right now, we're not going to get into that. And it might upset me just to get into how dumb I was then. But but Richard Hart has been one also that have talked about the danger of keeping your money on the exchange and the danger of not owning your own keys. And so you need to look him up when he's talking about that. You need to look up what BitBoy said about FTX and about Sam Bankman-Fried a long time ago. And so I would say get your money off the exchange for the time being. But when you realize that Sam Bankman-Fried met with the SEC on a regular basis, and you saw the whole MIT connection, I'm pretty sure all you guys have seen that image about how each aspect is connected, how each person is connected in reference to FTX. You saw Sam Bankman-Fried. You saw Ellison. And I forgot his name. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick. I think I want to say I saved the image, but I'm going to see if I can pull this up right quick as far as the MIT connection. I'm not going to get into any type of conspiracy theories, but let me tell you this. I'm not one to misstate the obvious, and I connect the dots a lot. And I think, in my opinion, I don't want to say it's obvious, but kind of where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think this is coincidental. Let me just say that as far as this MIT connection of the parties involved. So you have Sam Bankman-Fried, who was the CEO of FTX, MIT graduate. You have Gary Gensler, who's the head of the SEC, who was the former professor at MIT. And matter of fact, I attended some of his recorded courses on blockchain and cryptocurrency at MIT. This is before he became the head of the SEC. And so when he became the head of the SEC, a big old flag went up on my end, because I was like, oh, so they're putting some pieces in place, huh? Gotcha. Because I want to believe that the powers that be, government, etc., they don't just do things just to do them. They plan well ahead of time, and they put pieces in place for a bigger idea, for a bigger thing that they're looking to do, for a bigger plan that they're looking to achieve in the future, in my opinion. So these are very intelligent people to a certain extent. I guess that's debatable. But I will say this, they do have things in mind well ahead of time as far as future aspirations and what they look to do. And so I don't think that Gary Gensler, being the head of the SEC, is just something that just happened. Now, I don't know his total involvement in this, if at all. I guess they'll come out in the future. But I think I don't think it's coincidental. And then Sam Bankman-Fried met with the SEC, I think on more than one occasion. I think on several occasions, actually. So by them not being able to see or being able to kind of pick up on some things or discern some things, it's kind of troubling. But at the same time, the SEC, they're not technological gurus. And so really, though Gary Gensler knows a little bit about the space, he doesn't know, the aspects about the space. I'm not a technological guru like some people that I've actually talked to and networked with that are brilliant coders, business people, everyone in this space, man. There are some very high IQ individuals in this space. And so, but I do, from my standpoint, I know how to build my own node. I know how to go out on multi-chain, pull that. I know how to pull my Genesis block, create that. And so there are a few things that I know how to do in maintaining my own node, using Amazon Web Services from a blockchain standpoint. But what I know, as opposed to what some of these other people know, like Hussein Faraj, who I'm about to talk about here in a minute, or people that work under him, they're far past what I can do. I'm on a very novice level when it comes to that. However, I think I know more as far as in this arena than even Gary Gensler does. That's just my opinion. So you have Sam Bankman-Fried, you have Gary Gensler, you have Glenn Ellison, who was the head of economics at MIT, and Gary Gensler's former boss, who is the father of Caroline Ellison, the CEO of Alameda, who's under the FTX umbrella, which is part of that conglomerate, but also Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend, all that are part of MIT. So I just don't think it's coincidental that that connection is happening. Now, as far as how much they knew about what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing, that I don't know. But I can tell you this, I really don't believe that they didn't know anything. I just don't. I guess we'll find out more here in the future, hopefully, as information begins to surface, as cases begin to come out, as people are subpoenaed and people finally go to court. I believe we'll find some things out. And this is why I believe that we should be very careful about how we handle this right now, because I don't know how deep the roots of FTX goes, who all they are attached to, but I believe there's more to come out about it. And I don't think we reached total capitulation yet as far as in the space. So I would be very careful about investing right now, but keep some dry powder on the side, because when we reach that bottom, I think you will want to do yourself a service and get some of these investments that are going to be at a very, very cheap discount. And so I think you want to take advantage of that. But I would say right now, be very careful as far as how you invest. So with the Sam Bankman-Fried issue, there was a interview that was done by BitBoy Crypto, who did an excellent job, I should say. And he interviewed Hussein Faraj, who is the CEO and head of New Genesis. And a little bit about New Genesis, and you can go and see BitBoy's interview on this. And I think Hussein Faraj said he has a 3-hour interview or a 3-hour video out on YouTube somewhere that describes the whole FTX calamity and what happened there. So a little bit about New Genesis and Hussein Faraj. They are an AI and metadata juggernaut. When I say there are some brilliant people that work there and the data they're able to pull and things of that nature, yeah, it's next level. I'm talking about next level, future next level. I'm talking about the future that hadn't got here yet, that they have the acumen and the intelligence and the foundation of, like, they're far ahead of their time in what they're able to do from an algorithmic AI and metadata standpoint. This company was being built over a 10-year time span. So they had already had things in place. They were already moving very well. I think Hussein Faraj said they had 300 employees. So this is not some company that, hey, we're just going to bring along an ICO for people to invest in. And then after we bring it up, or you know, after we get all your money, it's not going to be a project that's not going to actually work. We just wanted to get your money and try to act like there's a good coin that's coming out that you can invest in, but it actually turns out to be nothing. No, this was an established company over a 10-year time frame with 300 employees. And because of the FTX debacle and because of the things that FTX did, Hussein said he had to fire or let go, terminate 200 out of the 300 employees because of this. Something that he's built, something that they built for over 10 years, something that they worked on for over 10 years, because of FTX, because of Sam Bankman-Fried's negligence and stupidity and just downright criminal activity, he had to let 200 of his employees go, which is unacceptable, and someone should be held accountable for that, in my opinion. And so Sam Bankman-Fried knew exactly what he was doing, in my opinion. This is not some guy that, oh, he just didn't know what he was doing. He's on the line of autistic as opposed to being normal. He's on that line, and so he didn't really know what he was doing. No, he knew exactly what he was doing. We're talking about, from my understanding, a very high IQ individual. And I know people that are on that line. And so, you know, I've worked with autistic kids before. I've had a friend who had Asperger's, or who has Asperger's. And so I know the relationship there. And so with Sam Bankman-Fried, he knew exactly what he was doing. Very calculated in nature, in my opinion. And so he just downright just stole people's money. They invested in him. They trusted in him. And he abused that trust, period, point blank. And as I said before at the beginning of this video, when you talk about banking, or when you talk about just assets in general, just with the business of banking and finance, at the top of what you want out of an institution of that nature, even though this is not banking, but as far as the trust that's involved and the risk management that's involved, it's on that same level, in my opinion. And so he took that and abused it. And I think he needs to be held accountable for it. And so I think you would do yourself a service if you go and check out BitBoy Crypto and look at the interview he had with Hussein Faraj and what happened there. And the 6-month investigation that Hussein Faraj used his own technology to begin to obtain the data from FTX and be able to build basically a case against them, because he has the data, he has emails. So the genie is out of the bottle. I talked to someone about this the other day, and you know, with how Sam Bankman-Fried supported, from what I understand, he supported a lot monetarily as far as the Democratic Party and things of that nature. Look, I'm not getting into politics here. But to think that people are going to get away with this when this guy has this data, I think you're badly mistaken. Because the thing about data and information, it proves things. Data and information proves what's true and what's not. And so this guy has this data, and so you can't put the genie back in the bottle once it's been let out, in my opinion. But I guess we'll see. Time will tell how deep the rabbit hole goes. And so you guys need to check that video out when you get the chance. Finally, I would say once capitulation is done, once we've reached the bottom, whenever that is, I'm not going to give advice as far as where you need to put your money at or what cryptos you need to invest in, but I will say this. I think you want to look at something with a use case that has staying power, that's going to be around for some years, but also nothing is something if it has a great use case but no support. So you can have something that has the greatest use case in the world, but it doesn't have support. I don't think it's going to make it. But when you have something that encompasses both of those aspects, then I think you'll do well. I would suggest that you take a look at XRP. XRP is one of my favorite projects, one of my favorite cryptos. I'm going to do an additional video on them hopefully soon. I know I've said that 6 months ago, but I have a couple of videos out there on XRP already. And so with this technology, I just think it's what they can do. I just think you can't deny it. For its cross-border payments and how fast the transactions are, how efficient they are. And though some people in the space may not agree with this, but their willingness to work with the banking institution at large and their willingness to work with regulators, I think that's going to bode well. Because guys, in my opinion, I don't think banks are going anywhere. I just really don't. You're talking about a lot of power, a lot of connections that's been built up over quite some time. I want to say that the first bank by the Rothschilds, as we know it, as far as the financial institution and foundation as we know it, I think the Rothschilds built the first bank in Germany back in the 1600s, I want to say, 1700s. Guys, you're talking about almost 500 years of power, connections, and tentacles that stretch around the world. You're not just going to get rid of that. In my opinion, like, you've got to find the way to coexist. And for the ones that figure out on our side how to coexist with the banks, they may very well be in the future maybe the most successful. I'm going out on a limb there, but so that lets you know how I feel about XRP. So moving on, XRP and Ripple. So moving on, I would say look at ADA. I think one day ADA could prove to be bigger than Ethereum. That's just my opinion. The things they have in line to do, what they're looking to do, the implementation of NFTs, I think that they're working on right now. Please do your due diligence on that. I think ADA is going to be huge. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be huge. I think where they are right now, as far as how much they're worth right now, I think you need to take advantage of that. If you don't take advantage of ADA, you could be kicking yourself 5 years down the road. So ADA is one that I think you need to take a look at. And Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera Hashgraph technology is just amazing. I think that what it's going to do is going to be monumental. I think it's very slick. I think it's efficient. I'm going to do a full video on Hedera Hashgraph one day, but that's one you need to do your due diligence on, because I think it's going to be something special. So those are the three right now I would suggest you take a look at. I'll present more in the future, but I think that's what I would look at for the time being. But I think right now, I think you would be very careful as far as how you invest your money. Put some dry powder to the side and just be ready when it's time. And if at all possible, please get your money off the exchanges for the time being. That's my 2 cents. Hopefully I'll have another video here for you in the near future. Hopefully I'll do better with this, guys. But I just wanted to get this information out here. Please smash up the likes. Help the algorithm out a little bit. And I'll look forward to talking to you guys soon. And remember, not your keys, not your crypto. Peace.